My name is Mary. Due to the serious rise in prices, my hobby recently has been thinking about frugal cooking. I'm working hard to develop affordable and delicious recipes that will make my daughter Sophia, who loves stylish Western food, happy. I believe it's essential to make small savings in daily life. However, there are people in the world who go beyond reasonable frugality. I first encountered such people when I was about to marry my husband, James. It all started about 10 years ago. When I went to James' house. He had warned me beforehand. Mom is a bit weird, so don't worry about it. Honestly, it was impossible not to worry about someone who was strange beyond my imagination. Here, have some coffee, Linda said as she handed me a cup. Just as I was about to drink it, James subtly stopped my hand. What's wrong? It's better if you don't drink it. Why? Look over there. James indicated the kitchen with his chin. Apart from Linda wiping dishes, it seemed like a normal scene, but what could it be? Oh! I realized what James meant and felt a chill run through my body. There, over the sink, used coffee grounds were being dried. It's better not to drink it because who knows how many times it's been used. I nodded. Unaware of our exchange, Linda returned to the table with a smile and drank the same coffee cheerfully. Are you and James going to have a wedding? I hear more couples are choosing not to have weddings these days, Linda asked. We're planning to have a wedding. To which James replied. His father, Robert, also added. We'll contribute financially, so go all out since it's a once-in-a-lifetime event. But Linda seemed to disapprove of the idea, saying, Isn't it a waste of money? You'll have many expenses coming up. Well, she wasn't outright against it, so I hoped it was just my imagination. Despite feeling some discomfort, the announcement of our marriage concluded smoothly. My relationship with James was going well, and I had little contact with Linda, so time passed without incident. The next time I saw Linda was at a family meeting. Nice to meet you, Mom said slowly, using sign language. Linda looked surprised. Huh? Well, that was understandable. Sorry for not mentioning it earlier. You must be surprised. Mom has a hearing impairment. She can hear a little, but conversations can be difficult to catch, so I'll interpret. To my explanation. Oh, I see. Linda brightly responded. I felt relieved to see such a positive reaction, as I had expected a more reluctant response, but my relief was short-lived. I'm not very knowledgeable about it, but don't people with disabilities get cheaper bus fares and such? You must have a lucky life. I'm jealous. Hey! James and Robert hurriedly tried to stop Linda's rude remarks. Mom looked down sadly, and Dad seemed on the verge of exploding with anger. Oh, I'm sorry if I upset you. But it's part of your character too. It's nothing to be ashamed of. While that might be true, hearing those words from Linda made me uncomfortable. James and Robert apologized, and though Linda didn't seem convinced, she apologized as well after being urged by them. It was a family meeting where the words marriage annulment seemed to be written on Dad's face, but thanks to James and Robert's earnest apologies, the marriage plans moved forward. If James and Robert had been strange people too, the relationship would have undoubtedly ended. Well, if that had happened, I wouldn't have gotten married anyway. A little while later, James and I started preparing for the wedding. I think you should turn the dress I used to wear into your wedding dress. Huh? Out of the blue, Linda called me on my mobile phone. Apparently, she remembered that she had a cute floral dress and wanted me to use it as my wedding dress. Linda even offered to do the alterations herself. No, I wasn't thrilled at all. Besides, the dress Linda mentioned was just a regular dress. No matter how much it was altered, it wouldn't come close to being a wedding dress. I thought she was joking, but unfortunately, Linda was serious. No thank you, I've already chosen a dress. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event, isn't it? Don't you think it would be better to wear something filled with memories? The memories it's filled with are yours, not mine. I held back from saying that. Choosing it myself will also create memories. Do you want a lavish wedding that much? Luxurious? No, I think a wedding that suits us is fine, but we want it to be at least standard. You're a strange one. I worry about your future, being so extravagant. I didn't think I was saying anything unusual, but maybe I was wrong? I thought Linda was the strange one for suggesting I should have a wedding in a used dress. Why not just have a simple registry office wedding? No, we've already sent out the invitations, and both my fiancé and I have always dreamed of a wedding. You can't just get by on dreams. It was a valid point, but it irritated me. Why was this woman so good at rubbing people the wrong way? I wanted to hang up, but Linda kept talking without giving me a chance to interrupt. In the end, it will be a better wedding if you choose a frugal dress. I was subjected to an hour-long lecture about how a frugal dress would make for a better wedding. A few days later, it turns out that Mom. What? A pale James told me that Linda, who had initially agreed to contribute to the wedding costs, had changed her mind and said she wouldn't contribute a penny. Apparently, Robert still intended to help financially, but he was now at odds with Linda, who didn't want to spend any money. It wasn't yet decided that they wouldn't contribute, but things were uncertain. We originally planned to pay for everything ourselves, and we accepted their offer, but should we just pay for it ourselves? Yeah, that's probably best. This has turned into a hassle. I smiled wryly at the exhausted James. Linda even said she didn't want to give us a wedding gift. She complained that spending money on a one-day event was wasteful. From the beginning, I noticed that Linda was quite the penny pincher. Then again, sometimes she would buy a large number of strangely designed clothes from local shops just because they were cheap. According to her, spending money on bargains felt like saving. Since she only looked at the price tags, her surroundings were filled with tacky and short-lived items. James told me that when she shopped at supermarkets, she always went just before closing time to follow the staff putting discount stickers on items and bought the most affordable ones. Once, she even went back to a store to complain because something she bought at a lower price went on sale the next day. She's practically a monster-level complainer. It's embarrassing. So, when Linda said she didn't want to give a wedding gift, it somehow seemed like a natural progression. Could you just refrain from attending since we don't need a wedding gift? Said James. Honestly, I thought that would be fine, but Linda wanted to attend because she was looking forward to the food. Robert, not wanting to inconvenience us, considered having them both skip the wedding, leading to another argument. In the end, it was decided that Linda would attend without giving a wedding gift or contributing to the wedding expenses. We all tried hard to get her to stay away, but Linda was stubborn. The result was disappointing, and everyone felt down. Moreover, on the day of the wedding, Linda showed up with a food container. She intended to take the food home. Of course, the wedding venue staff stopped her, citing hygiene concerns, so she gave up on that. She seemed to mistake the event for a buffet, drinking heavily and going to other people's tables to get their food, making a scene. It goes without saying that Robert and James came to apologize to my parents again afterward. After that, we tried to keep our distance from the in-laws as much as possible. However, after a while, when our daughter Sophia was born, that became difficult. I wanted Linda to see Sophia, and besides, when will you come to visit? Linda seemed to adore her, constantly calling to ask. Despite hardly ever going to the in-laws' house before, I thought I could tolerate a few days' visit. But it gradually became unbearable. That's because Linda kept speaking badly about Mom to Sophia. Isn't it boring to talk with Grandma who can't hear? You can't play with Grandma because her hearing is bad, right? Who do you like better, Grandma who can't hear or me? Linda not only called Mom the deaf grandma, but also constantly emphasized that she was a better grandma herself. She seemed unhappy that Sophia was more attached to Mom than to her. Her jealousy as a grandma was directly aimed at Mom. The deaf grandma is older than me, so she'll probably pass away soon. Once, she even said. That remark made me furious. It was outrageous to say such things to a child. At first, I thought it would be enough to keep my distance from Linda, who was merely obsessed with excessive saving. However, after such harassment, I couldn't tolerate it anymore. I started to dislike Linda even more than before. Truthfully, I didn't want to visit. But Sophia adored Robert and wanted to go to the in-laws' house. James and I were at a loss about what to do, and then the neighboring town announced a redevelopment plan. The plan included new preschools and schools. Having had a child, we wanted to move to a more child-friendly town before Sophia started school, so we quickly responded to this news. We urgently searched for a good property and decided to move to the neighboring town as soon as possible. As soon as we moved, Linda called. I was looking forward to the move, so why didn't you invite us? We wanted a new house too. I was taken aback. What does she mean by inviting her to the move? What kind of talk is that? Upon further questioning, if you were moving to a new house, you could have proposed living together. We were planning to move too. I found out that Linda was angry about our move. By the way, we had never discussed living together with Linda. Despite that, Linda acted as if it was natural to intrude on our lives, assuming she would be lucky to move into a new house with us. How could she interpret the situation that way? From then on, whenever I met Linda, I want a new and beautiful house, she would say. Additionally, she started making a big deal about not having money, which became even more troublesome. No money? That's terrible. Let's buy you a house. Was definitely not going to happen. But Linda couldn't understand that. I hope you're not planning to live with your deaf mom. I won't allow it. She even said. Mom would probably be the one to hate such an idea. Being visually impaired, she preferred not to be fussed over, and if she knew I was worried about her, she would likely reject the idea. Even when I explained this to Linda. Is that really true? She doubted it, saying, You're just saying that, but you plan to live with your mom in the future, aren't you? She accused. Linda's refusal to listen left us at a loss. As Linda aged, her problems worsened. While it was easy enough to ignore her insults about Mom directed at us, Linda took it a step further by sending letters to Mom. Sophia said she doesn't enjoy playing with her deaf grandma. It would be better for Sophia if you stopped meeting her. In one letter, she wrote. Of course, Mom ignored Linda completely and didn't complain about the letters, but James, Dad, and I were furious with Linda's behavior. We wished Linda would stop being jealous of Mom over Sophia. However, Linda was not one to listen to such wishes. I considered cutting ties completely, but living in the same state made it unrealistic. In reality, physically distancing yourself is probably the only way to truly cut someone off with just a declaration like that. Knowing Linda, she would surely ignore my opinion and continue to meddle in our lives. Unable to find a way to vanquish the monster known as Linda, we were left to agonize over the situation. After much thought and discussion with Robert, we decided to start reducing the number of days we visit for the annual Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. This only caused Linda's monster level to increase further. "It's because you guys don't come to visit." And so, we started getting frequently invited to dinner on ordinary days. The location varied from my in-laws' house to restaurants. Being invited again and again, we couldn't exactly refuse every time. Our interactions with Linda increased to the point where I wondered if it would have been easier to just visit as usual. This development was completely miscalculated on our part. Unlike Thanksgiving and Christmas, these were supposed to be easy day trips. But Linda managed to make us uncomfortable even in short periods spent together. It was impressive, really. When we had dinner at my in-laws' house, Linda, whose frugality knew no bounds, would serve leftovers from the day before. And not just any leftovers, dishes that were clearly half-eaten were presented as the main course. At restaurants, she would always conveniently forget her wallet. Though she called them dinners, in reality it seemed like an excuse to pawn off old food or eat for free. I wanted to tell her off so many times. Even the topics during the meal were always about how difficult it was living with Robert without much money. "Your mom gets disability benefits for her ears, right? Disabilities can be considered lucky if you change your perspective." She would often insult my mother with a mix of prejudice and misinformation. Eventually, it became a routine for Robert and James to scold Linda toward the end of each dinner while Sophia watched in blank confusion. Unable to endure her terrible words and actions any longer, James and I declared that if this kept repeating, we would no longer attend these dinners. I thought we would finally be able to cut ties with Linda for good, but then Robert suffered a subarachnoid hemorrhage and passed away. I explained the procedures following his death many times, but Linda didn't understand at all, leaving James, who has no siblings, extremely busy. It felt more like she couldn't be bothered to understand and was pretending not to get it. Rather than grieving Robert's passing, "We need to change the name on the bank account." Her worrying only about the paperwork was proof of that. Of course, I was busy as well, supporting James through it all. On the day we held a dinner with Linda and our family for Robert's sake, Linda said this to me when James stepped away from the table. "Why are you doing so much for Robert's sake? Huh? You've been busy with his grave and whatnot ever since he passed. Are you after the inheritance?" "What?" I was dumbfounded by Linda's accusation. Sophia was watching me with concern from the seat beside me. "I mean, he wasn't your real parent, so why go to all that trouble? If James seems busy, of course I'd want to help out." "How did you even arrive at that conclusion?" "Oh, good. I was going to say, if you were after the inheritance, I wouldn't give you a single dollar." Seeing Linda's relieved smile, I was appalled. But Linda continued the conversation, completely oblivious to my inner thoughts. "It's a good system where you get money just because someone dies. Those left behind really luck out." "Oh yeah, doesn't your mom get government support for funerals and stuff since she has a hearing impairment? Disabled people are pretty fortunate in a lot of ways, aren't they? I bet their insurance payouts are higher too. How much do you think? Hey, when is your mom going to die? Give me some of that money when the time comes." We're family, after all. I was at a loss for words hearing Linda say all this with a smile. Government support? Insurance money? Asking when my mom will die? The nerve of her, asking something like that with a grin. "That's enough." Just as those words were about to leave my mouth and I was on the verge of exploding in anger, 5-year-old Sophia spoke up in an oddly mature manner. "Grandma, by the way, what's with this toilet paper?" "What?" Sophia had wandered away from my side without me noticing and was pointing at Linda's purse. Linda looked shocked. I went over to Sophia and peeked inside Linda's bag. To my surprise, there were 2 rolls of toilet paper stuffed inside. Let me be clear, in James' household, there is no custom or culture of bringing your own toilet paper. And the toilet paper in Linda's purse wasn't even in any packaging.
Linda, what is this?
I took out the toilet paper and held it in front of her. Linda's face had turned completely pale.
Grandma, you took your purse with you when you went to the bathroom earlier, right?
Sophia spoke in a cold, matter-of-fact tone uncharacteristic of a 5-year-old. Linda averted her eyes from Sophia.
I'm going to go check the restroom.
Saying that, Sophia ran to the toilet, opening the door to the restaurant bathroom.
I knew it!
Sophia shouted.
The toilet paper is gone. Grandma, you stole it, didn't you?
At Sophia's words, the restaurant staff came out as well. James, who had gone to the car to retrieve a forgotten item,
What's up?
happened upon the scene and looked shocked.
What are you talking about, Sophia? I would never do such a thing. That's a lie. When I went to the bathroom before Grandma, there were 2 rolls of toilet paper. Now they're both gone.
Just as Sophia said, the toilet paper had completely vanished. And the 2 rolls in Linda's purse were not new. In other words, they had been used.
Linda, you can't steal from the restaurant.
At my words,
I was just borrowing it.
Linda gave a pitiful excuse. James,
You've done something shameful.
Also held his head in his hands. I knew she was fond of penny pinching, but I never imagined she would actually steal.
That's not it. I was just borrowing it to check and I was going to put it back. Really?
Linda desperately tried to defend herself.
No, what do you mean check the toilet paper? That's a pretty flimsy excuse. The texture was nice, so I wanted to see what brand of toilet paper it was. Even if that were true, there's no need to put 2 whole rolls in your purse. Couldn't you have just looked at it in the bathroom? Grandma, you're going to get in trouble with the police. You know bad people get scolded by the police, right? I saw it on TV the other day.
Sophia said with an innocent smile. It didn't seem to be a laughing matter for Linda, as her face was twitching.
That's right, let's go to the police station. What?
Hearing Sophia's words, Linda froze in place. But Sophia paid her no mind and excitedly said,
I saw a police station on the way here. It was really close by, right?
Indeed, we had passed a police station on the way to this restaurant. It seemed Sophia intended to go there and expose Linda's crime.
Mom, Dad, let's go to the police station.
Yes, let's go. Both James and I took Sophia's hands and gave Linda a nasty grin.
No, stop it, Sophia. I didn't steal anything. Look, I'll put them back.
Saying that, Linda placed the toilet paper rolls on the floor.
Returning them means you were aware you had taken possession of that toilet paper, right?
Linda looked shocked at my question. She was probably flustered, but it was a secret how amusing I found Linda's changing expressions.
This is a matter we should consult the police about.
Even the restaurant staff muttered this, leaving Linda standing there with her mouth agape.
I'm worried she may have stolen other things as well.
The staff member said anxiously, putting a hand to her mouth.
When you do something bad, you have to say sorry.
With those words, Sophia pulled on my and James' hands and started running.
Wait, Sophia!
Linda shouted, but Sophia paid her no heed and hurriedly off of the restaurant. Linda chased after Sophia, even tripping at one point, but somehow managing to keep up from behind. Without looking back at Linda, Sophia rushed toward the police station. When we arrived in front of the station, Linda caught up and grabbed Sophia.
Sophia, this wasn't theft, so we don't need to tell the police. Why not? Grandma stole the toilet paper!
The two argued loudly in front of the police station as people around stared. Police officers came out of the station and the area became abuzz with commotion.
Listen, Grandma put the restaurant's toilet paper in her bag. She's lying that she didn't steal it.
At Sophia's words, the officer seemed to stifle a laugh. I see. So Grandma stole the toilet paper. He played along. The officer was probably dumbfounded too. Shoplifting from a supermarket was one thing, but stealing a restaurant's toilet paper? He couldn't help but chuckle. In the end, since no one actually witnessed the theft, Linda returned the toilet paper without taking it out of the restaurant, and the staff forgave her. She wasn't treated as a thief. However, this restaurant happened to be one we frequented for a long time, located very close to Linda's house. There, Sophia caused a huge commotion in front of the police station for an extended period. Many people saw what transpired. As a result, Linda's act of thievery became known to the entire neighborhood. This incident caused the neighbors to start gossiping about Linda. At neighborhood gatherings, Linda would take home all the snacks that were served. At casual chats with neighbors, everyone else would bring snacks to share, but Linda never brought anything. It seems the neighbors already disliked her as a greedy person. Everyone was mature about it, never voicing complaints about Linda's behavior and just silently enduring it. But this shoplifting expose provided an opening. Linda, you always had this side to you.
I've found you to be a nuisance for a long time.
People started saying things like this. Malicious rumors about Linda quickly spread throughout the neighborhood and she became thoroughly despised by those around her. I heard that even for things like the town's cleaning duties, Linda never did any work herself. She would shove all her responsibilities onto young people who couldn't talk back. I wondered how she had avoided nasty gossip until now, but it seems Robert had been apologizing to the neighbors on Linda's behalf. Now having lost Robert, Linda was constantly bad-mouthed by everyone nearby. There was even harassment, causing her to become so depressed she could barely leave the house. She criticizes others, but is weak when the tables are turned, it seems. It's her own fault. Until now, she was assertive with us too, voicing her opinion on everything. But this incident caused her to become completely meek. Just once.
I want to move. I'm scared to live alone, so please let me move in with someone.
She pleaded on the verge of tears.
She probably only became submissive because she's depressed from the gossip. If she moves, she'll revert back to how she was, so I'm declining her living with us.
But James refused, judging her personality. Perhaps because we firmly refused her request. Linda tearfully apologized for everything up until now and begged.
Please stay by my side, I'm scared to be alone.
But James absolutely refused to let her live with us. After that, Linda stopped relying on us. Since James had harshly rejected her, she likely saw us as enemies just like the neighbors. I think in Linda's mind, she developed a fear of James and me. Thanks to that, our interactions with Linda completely ceased after the incident. I think there are times when frugality is very important, but only in moderation. In Linda's case, it wasn't good that her penny pinching crossed the line into greed. By the way, Linda still lives in that house. Since it is technically James' parents' home, we sometimes go check on it from afar. But it seems the harassment from the neighborhood children continues, with them throwing garbage into the house and leaving notes telling her to get out, though who knows who did it. I think she should consult the police about it, but she seems to have developed an aversion to the police since the toilet paper incident. So even if she wants to, she may not be able to seek their help. Or perhaps she's still scared to go outside. I feel a bit sorry for her, but I want her to accept that she brought all of this upon herself. On the other hand, our family, Sophia has grown up and is now in elementary school. More than cute, she's grown into a somewhat precocious child, but I still find her adorable. I found out later that Sophia disliked Linda. When I asked why,
because she says bad things about Mom's grandma.
She said. When she says Mom's grandma, she means my mother. I hadn't even noticed, but it seems Sophia had been learning sign language from Mom since she was little. Sophia herself said,
"Sign language is amazing. I want to learn it too."
That's what sparked it apparently.
Why do you think it's amazing?
When I asked that,
because you can communicate in ways other than words,
Sophia said. Indeed, I was convinced too that sign language, born from the idea of trying to communicate through other means when you can't speak, is amazing. Sophia, who found sign language incredible, respected Mom who used it, even as a child. That's why she was so attached to her. I just thought she liked Grandma, so I was surprised there was an unexpected deep reason behind it. After that, every time Sophia met my mom, she studied sign language. Now she's even passed the sign language certification exam. She says she wants to become an artist who interprets through sign language in the future.
What kind of genre is that?
I thought, but kept quiet since it's a child's dream. If in the future, an astonishingly beautiful sign language interpreter or an artist who sings in sign language appears, please know that it's my daughter. I'm a bit worried since she's more enthusiastic about studying sign language than her school subjects. But seeing how she's not only considerate of my mom, but also learning massage therapy skills to care for Dad whose legs have weakened with age, I believe this child will surely grow into a kind and wonderful woman. It's okay if she's not the best at academics. Instead, I hope she always treasures her current compassionate nature. James quit the IT company he was working at back then. Now he works independently as an IT engineer. Honestly, he makes more than when he was a company employee. Since he mainly works remotely, he spends a lot of time with the family. Along with that, he started helping out with household chores. Thanks to him, my burden with housework has decreased and I'm able to have time for hobbies. What kind of hobbies, you ask? Actually, Sophia and I started doing handicrafts together. I used to hate detailed work, but Sophia took an interest in it. I thought it would be nice for us to do something together as parent and child. When I started, I unexpectedly became absorbed in it. When I was young, if a friend's hobby didn't match my interests, I absolutely refused to do it. But having a child really changes many things about yourself. I never run out of things to talk about with Sophia. It's more like a relationship between friends than parent and child. I feel like I've become a bit younger myself. Maybe they're right when they say it's important to talk with young people. Every time I make a discovery I wouldn't have on my own, I'm glad I started a family. From now on, I'll continue building happy days together with James, Sophia, and the new addition in my belly. What's that? We're having another child? Actually, yes. I'm 5 months along now. That said, I'm 38 years old. I need to work hard to build up my strength for the delivery. With our family growing, I have a feeling my life is going to become even more enjoyable.